Hello, it's Amy from paperandspool.com, and I'm back with day 3 of my December daily. And I must confess, I'm kind of surprised at the direction these first couple of pages have taken, because they're so different from what I laid down in my foundation pages. Now that does not make me regret putting down foundation pages. It actually just makes me really thankful that they were there and that I was able to not use them. And I had something ready, but I can always use that later on. So what I have today is a photo of walking Max to school. This is just in the big park right over by our house. And we walk across this park every day to go to school. And I had this 3 with this confetti ready to go, and I'm going to transfer that over on top of the photo. And so I'm going to put the 3 maybe down at the bottom here, and my thought is I would just staple it on with my tiny attacher, and if I give it 2, that should stay. Now here comes the challenge. I want to dump that confetti in the bottom of the pocket with the 3 still. So it won't be see-through like it was when it was in the pocket alone, but I think it will still create a really cool effect. So I'm just gonna go Sorry, there was probably a better way to do this that I did not think of. There must have been, because this is now bordering on the ridiculous. Okay, so let's see if I can get this confetti down into the page protector. This is just tissue paper confetti. This is from a really old kit. You could make some with tissue paper that you have for wrapping presents. That would be really cool. Now, I do want to include some writing here as well. So I took out that 4 pocket because I wasn't sure that it was going to suit my needs here. What I have down is, actually, maybe if I bring this to the other side. Oh, kind of like that, and then do something here with the journaling. I wasn't really 100% sure how I was going to write anything on this page. Actually, I think I'd prefer to keep this for this side. I really kind of had an idea to go along with that. But maybe, I do have, I know, somewhere around here in all of my photos, maybe this is a good place to include my inside tree as well. And I can just talk about trees and things in my journaling. So I think I'm going to leave it there. I'm just going to type up some journaling for here, and then maybe do something with a little bit of craftiness on the top. I'm going to see what I have for possible titles here. Okay, here is an example of me turning off the camera to go and print my journaling and coming back with a major design pivot. So I took this photo out because it didn't really have any relationship to the story, which was starting to kind of get to me. I didn't like that. So I've still got my 3 with the picture of the park. And then for journaling, what I did is I just kind of wrote down what our mornings look like. So if I was doing a day in the life, this might be the kind of brain dump that I would do. So this is our daily routine in the morning. Wake up, eat, get dressed, practice piano, check the weather, put on the snowsuit, corral the dog, get out the door, forget the keys, get the keys, rush down the sidewalk, try and catch Max's little buddy who comes from the other side of the neighborhood. He likes to walk with her across the park, wait for the dog, inevitably, run through the park because we're almost always running a little bit late, listen for the warning bell. The school next to ours starts 5 minutes earlier, so we have a great 5-minute warning bell. Look for friends on the playground, get through the boot room door, So grateful. So that's the journaling that I did there. Now what I want to do is I want to kind of jazz it up a little bit with some of these little stickers. These are the clear stickers from the Crepe Paper Snowflake collection. And so I was wanting to add some of them here. And now that I'm looking at them a little bit more closely, they're a little bit big. So I'm going to work on the second part first. What I'm going to do, I did not want to cut off this second little window, this 3x8 window here, because I'm using the old 2-ring system and I didn't have any page protectors like this for this system, so I made this one with a fuse, and I didn't want to just cut it apart because I thought that I could always do that later with something else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this clear acetate, and I'm going to create a little grid of circles down this acetate to kind of pretend like snow. We haven't had a lot of snow accumulate here. We have had a lot of snow. We just haven't had a lot of it stick on the ground. Now, as I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about how am I ever in the world going to keep it looking good, I remembered that the Silhouette mats have a grid on them. So I'm going to use that, and I'm just going to stick my transparency down on the grid, and I'm going to use these grid interlocking spots to put down some of my pieces. So I made some pieces, I punched some 1-inch circles out of fabric. I also grabbed anything circle shaped in my prep bucket here, and this is why it's always nice to have that prep bucket kind of sitting close by, because if you have to do a design pivot, you've got all your stuff ready to go. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set them out. I'm not going to overthink this one too much. I'm not going to put so much adhesive on them that they're going to be impossible to get off. Actually, now that I did that, I think I'm going to try for a little more like that. So this is kind of using an idea that I saw in a store window, and it was at Abercrombie and Fitch. They have these really cute store displays with circles all the way down in a really neat pattern. So I wanted to do something the same somewhere in my album, and I realized that this might be a good place to do it. And I'm going to, I cut apart the papers and the pieces that had like little park scenes from the last year's Merry Days and from this year's Snowflake kit. Because I wanted kind of this idea of when we walk through the park, because that's really what the story is about. When you adhere the rubber pieces, always use the red line tape. I almost hit it with the regular adhesive, and then I remembered regular adhesive will react with the rubber and create something horrible that you don't want in your album. And so I'm so thankful I remembered that in time to make sure I did not do that. And I'm just going to flip it around. So you'll see this is what will show up on the other side of the paper. And I see I got that one a little bit aggressively. Okay, so on the other side then, I will use the rest of what I've pulled here, and I'll just line it up so that it matches. And that will be visible on day 4. So I'm not going to finish that right now because that's kind of day 4's problem, not today's problem. And I'm gonna come back to this because I wanna make sure. So I'm gonna trim just 1/4 of an inch off the top and off the bottom because I don't wanna trim it totally off of one place. Because I really need 1/2 inch gone because it's 1/2 inch too large for the page protector. So I'm gonna slide that one in here and hope it doesn't get stuck anywhere. Of course, as I say that, it's probably my own fault. So now I have this really cool transparent item over here. And that worked perfectly. Oh, I'm so glad. I love it when that happens. And then I'm gonna put my list of my daily routine here, and then I've got my photo here on the other side. So all that I'm going to do yet, I do want to add something to this, but I don't think I'm gonna go quite as much as I had originally thought. I had originally thought I'd kind of like put tons of stickers on here, but I think I'm going to keep it a little bit more simple. I used a lot of the pink and the blue, so I'm going to try to remember that. Sometimes when you do these things separately, you end up with a totally different vibe. I think this is all I'm going to do. I'm going to use, there's this whole little line here. They're tiny, tiny little pieces. And I'm just going to use those little bits like they were kind of little doodles. And I think the tree will work. And I really like these little tiny vellum stars. They can bring a little bit more of the color over. Oh, you know what? I ended up not liking those. I think this is an example of using too much, going too far, Amy. I'm going to take those colorful ones off. And I think I am going to, the nice thing about these stickers is they're not so heavy on the adhesive that you cannot do that you can kind of reposition or readjust. What I really, really wanted originally was one of these little hats. So I think I'm going to kind of go back to that, and I've got this pink and yellow one here. Can I center it? No, that looks weird. Sorry, you get like majorly indecisive Amy today. All right, I'm gonna call it good. I'm not gonna fiddle with it anymore. Famous last words. So there is my day 3 spread. So I've got the photo with the confetti and the circles, I really like that connection. It's a really nice flow across both pages. The nice big number 3 and then the list with the kind of doodly little stickers to kind of embellish it. So I'll flip it over here. I'll show you what I've got for the other side. And so I've got this one that I prepped from Geraldine's shop in a Creative Bubble. I've got this little hexagon booklet that I want to do something with. And then I've also done some stuff with my fuse here and made kind of like an interesting little thing. So I'm not 100% sure yet what story this is going to tell, but it's going to tell the story. You never know. Could be a good one. So I will be back tomorrow with a look at what I do for number 4. And I'm a little bit more stuck with this one because I have fused this 4 right into the page protector. So I will be back tomorrow with an example of how to work with what you've got.